Apparently, Canelo turned down the PBC offer to fight Charlo, and he's going to do a 2-fight deal with DAZN. He's going to fight Bivol at light heavyweight, and part of the 2-fight deal is that he's going to fight Bivol and then move on to Triple G to wrap up their trilogy. Lots to discuss there, but interesting that they passed up on the PBC fight. I'm sure that the Charlos weren't happy to see that payday slip away, because there's not going to be another fight that pays like even half of what he could have made to fight Canelo. What do you think on Canelo Bivol?
All right, I give him credit. Canelo, I give him credit. I give him credit. Because I've said when he was picking guys that looked like they were more than they really were, I pointed it out. You know, when he was picking, whether it was the Billy Joe Saunders, whether it was Plant, and I like Plant, you know, a lot. And he's made himself out of not being an extraordinary talent in one area, but just being real good in a lot of areas and solid. He won a world title. He had a nice little career there. He still has in front of him. Who knows what he's going to do? But he was picking guys, Canelo, that was smart, because he was much better than him. He was going to win. There was no chance. And I said it. I'm not being a Monday morning quarterback. I said it. You could back me up on that one, Ken. You know, I know you always back me up when you think I'm right. And, you know, I said when we were forecasting those fights that he's gonna knock both guys out. It's not what people think it's gonna be. And then you got some of these people.
You described exactly what was gonna happen.
And you got the fans out there. Oh no, it's gonna be that. Okay, fine. I could be wrong, but in those kind of cases, I didn't feel I'd be wrong, because I know something about my business in that way. Doesn't mean that I still don't get them wrong. I do. But I felt that those were easy ones for me because of the reasons I pointed out. There was nothing those guys could do better than Canelo to have a chance to win. And at the end of the day, it would show out. It would show out in that way. And it did. But now, and he was smart, Canelo. He's getting paid all this money. He's picking guys with belts, guys with undefeated records. So it looks good. He's getting paid. It justifies paying him the money. It justifies people coming to watch it. You draw them in, you know, to the extent that whatever numbers they did. So it was smart. But this one is nothing about that stuff. It's nothing about those things. You know, thinking about, hey, we got to get the guy with the right record. We got to get the guy that looks like it's going to be competitive, but we have a huge edge, and then we can sell. No, it's not about that. There's a guy that could beat him. There's a guy who's naturally bigger, light heavyweight. I know Canelo's bigger now. He's a whole different human being now. I get it. I don't, you know, I get it. He, you know, that I don't know if that beef in Mexico has anything to you and me. Got to go eat down there one day, Ken. We gotta go down there, have some lunch, maybe stay for a week. You know, have a few meals and see how we look when we come back. You know what I mean?
We come back looking like Kell Brook.
Maybe I won't, but you will. But I give Canelo credit because you still got to go in there. You know, if you're in baseball, you still got to hit that 100-mile-an-hour fastball, that curveball. You still got to do it. And am I talking about Barry Bonds? I don't know. But in boxing, you still got to go in there, face the dangers, and get it done. And Canelo gets it done. And he gets it done in different weight classes. Sure. And he's been getting better as a fighter. And I said that. That was the big difference for me between him and Triple G when they were even coming up. Because when they first started their fights, because Canelo continued to get better and Triple G didn't. He didn't. He was still strong and tough and bigger than a lot of guys, but he wasn't getting better. And I think his trainer at the time, Sanchez, had something to do that, stagnated it. And obviously, Triple G felt that too because he made a change in trainers to Banks, right? Johnny Banks.
Jonathan Banks.
Yeah, Jonathan Banks. So, yeah. So with the great Emmanuel Stewart, who used to be with the great Emmanuel Stewart as his protege. Emmanuel was his mentor. So, and you can't get better than that. But the facts are the facts that Canelo did get better. And now he's the man. You know, he's the golden goose in the sport. And he can pick whoever he wants and make that guy rich or richer.
Yep.
I give him credit. He picked a dangerous guy. He picked a guy who had a great amateur background. He picked a guy that's been a world champion, has the confidence, the experience of being a world champion. He's picked a guy that I already said is natural bigger. He's a good technical fighter. He's a solid boxer. You know, he can fight with you, but he likes to box. He's a smart, cerebral guy. He's good. He's really good. And he picked him. He didn't have to pick him. You know, maybe he didn't pick Charlo, which would have been easier, I believe. But maybe he didn't pick Charlo because the reason I phrased it that way, because there's some maniacs out there. Because, listen, you're a fan. Because, no, part of being a fan is being a fanatic. That's short for fan. You know, fan is short for fanatic. So I get it. You have the right to be a nut. And there'll be some out there that'll go on that thing called the internet, whatever those websites are, right, that I never look at, but I get told about them once in a while. They still exist, right, Ken? They still out there, right?
Yep.
And there'll be guys who say, oh, he's afraid of Charlo. Oh, Charlo was going to whoop him. Okay, whatever. But I don't know if Charlo didn't want to fight. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if they even had a choice in the matter. I don't know if it was they asked for too much money. I don't know any of that. All I know, and I'm not pretending to know, I just know the possibilities. And at this point, I know maybe it was the weight. Maybe, which I could see. Maybe. Where, at this point in his life, Canelo, after putting this muscle on, is not going to go back to 160. Maybe he said, hey, you got to go to 168. And maybe Charlo said no. Maybe that's a very possible. Maybe it is, if it even got that far in talking about the fight. But what I do know, and what we all do know, is he picked Bivol. That's going to be an interesting fight.